So let's talk about Hannah and Peninnah in the Bible. Their story is in 1 Samuel chapter 1. So Hannah and Peninnah they were the wives of a guy named Elkanah. They would have these moments where they often went to the tabernacle to worship and give sacrifices to God. It happened to be where Hannah was barren and couldn't have children, and Peninnah did. So every time they would be on their way to the tabernacle, these girls who worshiped God would be on the way to the tabernacle to worship God and give sacrifices to him. Peninnah, the same mouth that she used to go worship God in the tabernacle, she was using to taunt and harass Hannah for not being able to have children. And I was just like, that's crazy. She's on the way to the tabernacle to worship God, and this is how she's treating someone. And so it just made me think, wow, how many girls do that in church? They act catty, mean, and jealous. They just act ill-spirited towards another female right in the house of God. They'll be on their way to church acting like that. They'll be right in church acting like that, or they'll leave right after church and immediately start treating people like that. So God dealt with Peninnah, and actually down the line blessed Hannah to be able to have a child named Samuel. So yes, there was a blessing that came from Hannah, and Peninnah was out here looking stupid. It just reminded me of how we really deal with that in the church world. Now, before I get to the real life relatable experiences in the scripture, I don't know, I'm not doing any exegetical breakdown of scripture. That is not what this is. This isn't Bible teaching. It's just Bible discussing. We're just simply discussing what scriptures make us think about. And so when I read that, I was wondering, why was Peninnah treating Hannah like that? And I was just like, maybe it's because she was the other wife and she felt jealous, so she figured she had some ammunition against Hannah that she could make fun of her with. Like, was she doing it out of jealousy? I really don't know. We switch over to our current day realities. We deal with that. I've dealt with that a couple of times. I have plenty of examples. There was one time I visited a church with my former church, and there was these girls standing outside of the sanctuary, and this was right after service had ended, and they was just looking at me, snickering, whispering, and then they was laughing like they were talking about me, and they wanted me to know, and they wanted me to see, almost as if they wanted to get a reaction out of me. And I thought that was crazy, because we had just came out of what you would call a high impact service where people were just crazy and praise and all this stuff, and I'm like, you two, I seen you two girls participating in that, and then you turn around with the same mouths that you just praised God with, you're like in the corner making fun of me about whatever you was making fun of, right? So that was an experience where I did not feel welcome. There was another time in a previous church that I was a part of, I was standing around, I was waiting to talk to someone, right? And they were talking to two other people. One of the girls that was standing there nearby, the person I wanted to talk to, she was just looking at me with the most unwelcoming, problematic, disgust look in her face, right? As if she had a problem with me. I know this girl from a hole in the world, but she's in the sanctuary staring at me like that. And then I'm saying hi to people, and I'm like, hey, hi, sorry, I just wanted to talk to so-and-so. And then you know how when you say hi and you're saying hi to everyone standing around in a particular group, and then it's that one person that don't say anything back, that's kind of rude. That's what old girl did right in the sanctuary at the end of service. Crazy. Then in the same church with a different girl, I was connected to, because she had a job where she helped people get jobs. I was looking for a job at the time. One of the pastors there connected me to her and introduced me to her at the end of service and was like, hey, you know, this is so-and-so. She's looking for a job. I know you help people with this. Do you mind connecting with her and helping her? She was like, oh, sure, no problem. And then she was like, give me an email, you know, send me a copy of your resume, and we're going to get on this. So I sent her, you know, an email with my resume. She responded saying she's going to look into it, see what she needs to tweak, and then reach back out to me. She never did. I reached out asking for an update. She never responded. Yet after that, Every time I would be in church, this girl would look me dead in my face and not speak. This is the same girl that's supposed to be helping me get a job. And she would look dead at me and not speak. And then the crazy thing is that I'm like, if she's not speaking because she's feeling guilty, wouldn't she be trying to like hide, not be seen or noticed, and trying to avoid me? However, she would just be staring at me. And it wasn't just like a look. She would stare like, you could tell something was going through her head when she was looking at me. And I'm just like, why is she not helping me? Why she act like she don't even care for me? Because she's not even speaking. So no, I didn't go up to her and was like, you know, so what's going on? As I figure, if you're showing me you don't care to help me, then I'm not chasing and begging you for a job. My favor isn't tied to you. That's how I look at it. And so there's been a plethora of experiences like this. One woman who I have the least amount of care for. She was like really mean spirited, never spoke to me before. This was in a previous church I was a member at. Every time she always walked past me, she never spoke. She surely stared at me, but would never speak. Like, if you staring at me, hello. She always stared, never spoke. And then one time we went to kind of like this conference in Rhode Island, and I went with my friend who was also a member at that church. So we were staying in a hotel, and when it was time for the services in the church in Rhode Island, we needed transportation from the hotel to the church. Everyone there drove, and they kind of had families and people that they were taking with them. We didn't really have a ride, and it was hard to get cabs out there. So this lady, this mean lady, right? She happened to have room in her car. Because we were told by someone else that she was going alone. She has room and that we should ask her. We did not want to, because even my friend said she felt the same mean spirit from this lady. But because she was a last resort, my friend went and asked her. And then she came walking back to me and she was shaking her head. So I knew what that means. She was like, yeah, there's not a ride there. And I was like, I don't like that lady anyway. I'm kind of glad, because I wouldn't feel comfortable riding with her. She said, me either, girl. She said, I did not want to go over there and ask her. And she was telling us that she had room, but she was coming up with excuses as if she really didn't want to take us. And so I said, you know what? We don't want to beg to be in the company of people who don't accept us. Like, no, we don't. We just got to find another way. We eventually end up getting a cab out there. And I'm just like, why this lady don't care for us to where we would have been stranded if we didn't get a cab? Just people so mean-spirited in church, mean church girl behavior. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about, because it's not okay. We make people not feel welcomed. We turn them away. Church is supposed to be, I know church is not perfect, but it's supposed to be the one place that's just a little different and better than the world. But we walk into these churches and we get treated just like as if we were out in the streets. And if you don't know someone, then what other reason could it be for you to not like them other than jealousy? It has to be their appearance and how their presence make you feel. And it's not okay. And I be thinking we need some sort of like church etiquette classes on how to make people feel welcome, because it's crazy. It's crazy to not feel welcome in your Father's own house. And then you're wrong when you react. When you react a certain way or take up for yourself. So how do y'all feel? Because that's what this Hannah and Peninnah story made me think of. Girls who use their mouths to worship God and use that same mouth to mistreat people and harass them. And we ain't even going to talk about the online trolls. So yeah, if y'all had an experience like that, talk to me about it in the comments. Like, I want to know what popped off and how you dealt with it. Were you more, high-minded, or were you a little petty and got in your flesh a little bit? And what's up? Until the next video, take care. Let's love each other a little better. And yeah, that's it. Peace out.